Hello. It is I, Andrine, your Jewish American Priestess, and I'm coming to you today with a Hebrunes reading, timeless reading. We're going to be talking today about what is it that we need to clean out in our life right now. And the way we're going to do that today is we're going to start by choosing some of these oracle cards from the Sovereign Oracle. We're going to choose 3 oracle cards, and then I will put the timestamps down below, and that will guide us into your reading for today. And then we will have you choose your timestamp, and I will do a 3 Hebrune reading, relatively brief one today, talking about what is it we are trying to release in our life. And here comes 1. There's number 2, coming right out today. And there is number 3. Okay, let's see which cards we have and what is appealing to you as a direction for today. So for those of you who want to look at card number 1, the word is ask. Ask. Card number 2, your oracle card says consistency. And card number 3, harvest. Okay, so take a moment to determine which of these cards is calling to you today. Ask, consistency, or harvest. I'll put the timestamps down below, and it will guide you directly to your reading, and I will see you there. All right, for those of you who chose card number 1, your word is ask, and the card reads as such. Requesting aid takes courage. Verbalize your need for support. Give someone the gift of being an important part of your hero's journey. Delegate it to your guides. Ask. So that is our central idea today. We're working on the theme of what is it we need to remove from our life. So we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes today to see if we can get some clarity on this. On top we have the letter Nun. In the center we have the letter Lamed. And at the bottom we have the letter Pei. The way we read a 3 Hebrune reading is we start at the top, with the top letter being that which is our current situation. The second letter is our challenge or fear in the situation. And the third is the outcome or consequence given the current situation. So in this case, our top letter is the letter Nun. And the letter Nun is the letter that speaks to humility. It's the first letter of the word Ne'aman, which means humble. So it speaks to people who are perhaps loyal, faithful, maybe experiencing some form of humility, but not humiliation. There's something about being freed here. It is the number 50 in Gematria, and 50 is the Jubilee year. The 50th year is the Jubilee year, when we free all of our slaves. Not just when we find ourselves free, but what can we release? What kind of thing can we let go of here? In the Aramaic, The letter Nun stands for fish, which means abundance. We have a lot here, a lot of things, and maybe it's time to release some of those things in our situation. And in the Zohar, the Nun stands for the word deceit. So maybe we're releasing something that is causing us deceit or bringing some deceit into our lives. Maybe there are people who are deceiving us and we need to release those. I see the letter Nun as corresponding to the Hermit card in Tarot, which is someone who is humble and spends time in solitude and helps to guide the way through. So our current situation is about humility. It's about maybe finding a miracle, finding a way free, finding a way to free yourself and others in your life that may be causing some deceit. Maybe we have a lot of things and it's time to just go through our stuff and decide what we need and what it's time to let go of. It corresponds in my reading of it to the rune Nauthiz, which is in the Nordic Runes, the rune that speaks to need or constraint, something that's holding us down. It's correlated to that idea of just determining what is it we need and what can we let go of here. So that is very helpful in terms of determining what is it we want to release here. What is holding us down? What do we need to let go of in our life? And our card Ask says that it takes courage to ask for our need for support. So maybe it's something that's very challenging for us to do on our own, and it's time to reach out to another who can maybe lend us some assistance on this path that we're in right now. Our central letter is the letter Lamed. And that central position, as I said, speaks to our fear or a challenge right now. And the letter Lamed is the letter that begins the word heart, Lev. And it's about reaching up with aspiration or hope. Maybe we've lost some hope about how we're able to free ourselves or let go of what it is we need to clean out in our life. The letter Lamed it's about, it corresponds in the body to the intestines. So it makes me think of that which we take into our lives and into our bodies. What is it that serves us and what is it we need to release? That same thing, that same idea of digesting, bringing in sustenance to our bodies, bringing in even information into our minds. What is serving us and what can we let go of? And that's the concern. That's the challenge here. Exactly that. What is it we're trying to release here? And are we afraid? Are we afraid of letting things go? Maybe we've lost hope. And it's time to reach out to others. It says to give someone the gift of being an important part of our own hero's journey. So maybe asking for others, reaching up with heart and asking for help from the divine. It says also delegate it to your guides. So that could be our divine angels, our messengers, our ancestors, or just those around us who have guided us along the way. I see the Lamed as corresponding to the rune Wunyo, which means joy. And this is a month of joy right now where we're speaking. Of course, this is a timeless reading, but right now, this month of joy that we're in. And maybe that's a challenge right now, finding our joy. Maybe we've got too much to carry. And when we are going out from a place of enslavement, it's time to set down what we no longer wish to carry. And that is a challenge right now. And we need to be courageous and not be afraid of asking for the help that we need here. And our final letter in the reading is the letter Pe. We have the letter Pe, and that is our outcome given the current circumstances. And Pe is the letter that is a mouth. It's about communication. It's about asking, exactly as our card reads here. It's about using our voices to communicate effectively. It's the binary foundation of grace and ugliness. So what is it we're finding beautiful, and how can we speak beauty into the world releasing the ugliness. Where are we on that continuum of ugliness and beauty in terms of our voice, in terms of what we're asking for? The pay also looks like a spiral to me. It looks like that cycle that goes around and around, but spirals in and spirals out. So it's this conjunction with the infinite. The letter pay is the number 80 in Gematria. 8 is a number that represents the infinite because it looks like an infinity symbol on its side. And also 8 is one more than 7, 7 being that final day of creation in the Hebrew Torah. So we have this conjunction with the infinite, 80, 8 times 10, an ultimate manifestation of the infinite. And you can see it in that spiral. It spirals infinitely in to our inner depths and infinitely out into the infinite of the universe. I see the letter Pei as corresponding to the Hierophant in Tarot, which is that mouthpiece of the divine about spiritual teaching and belief systems. What is it we believe here? How can we tap into our own voices to get what we need in our situations? And it corresponds also, is connected to the rune Ansus in the Nordic Runes, which is about communication, about breath, and about the divine. So as we work through this period of time where we're trying to come into humility and humbly ask for the assistance we need, reach up with heart and trust to have the courage to ask for the help we need, releasing what it is that isn't serving us. It brings us to this final state of connection, communication with the divine, with others around us, and finding a time of infinity and beauty. Okay, I'm going to pull out one of the Nordic runes as well today, just to give us one more piece. And, oh, beautiful. We have the blank. This is the Nordic rune that is considered the infinite. So I love that in terms of the pay here as well. We have this symbol which in the Nordic runes is known as weird, which is about fate and destiny, the zero, the void, an infinite possibility. It's where the word weird comes from in the English language, just that unknown, that which is unseen, that idea of fate and destiny. And it corresponds to the Ein Sof in the Hebrunes, which is that unendingness, that timelessness, that primordial chaos. And again, speaking to the infinite, and because we have the 80 here with the infinity, it seems like such a beautiful ending to this. If we can ask and delegate it to our guides, we come to that place of infinite. Beautiful. So for those of us who are trying to release something now, this would be a good time to ask for help. Ask for help from the divine. Ask for help from friends and other guides who can help you here. Release what it is we need to release that is no longer serving us, and lean into the infinite here. So for those of you who chose card number 1, ask. This has been your reading for today. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in the Hebrunes, please check out the link in my description below. I'll see you here next time. Hello, card number 2. We have the word consistency, and we'll read this. It says, hold space for a sustainable vision. Find supportive rituals. Attract co-creators through the power and devotion of your enduring action. Persistence is required. Consistency. So as we are going into this time right now of What is it we're releasing? The idea to be consistent and to step forward with persistence is really, really important. Let's pull out 3 Hebrunes today and get some clarity here. At the top, we get the letter Yud. Ooh, extra time. The center, we have the letter Tav. And in the lower position, the letter Gimel. Wonderful. So when we read a 3 Hebrune reading, we're talking about at the very top, what is our current situation? In the center, what is our challenge? And at the bottom, what is the outcome given the current circumstances? So at the very top of our reading, we have the letter Yud, and the letter Yud is that one point. It is the focus of the atom, maybe a seed, something that we're planting or starting, some beginning. It's the first letter of the divine name, so it also has that really strong lean toward divinity. It is the letter that begins the word Yad, which means hand. So it speaks to artisanship or craftsmanship or creativity, some kind of handiwork as well. But it is the smallest of all the letters. It is the number 10 in Gematria, so it's like the oneness but multiplied times 10. And it's also corresponding to the tribe of Gad, which is the tribe that represents luck. Gad was said to be possibly a Semitic god of luck, in fact, that was brought to the Hebrew tribe by one of the wives of Yaakov. And in my reading of the Hebrunes, as they correspond to the tarot, Yud corresponds to the Fool, because it's a seed, this beginning, this idea of the open mind. We don't know what's coming next, but we're still planting that seed and setting forth. And it corresponds to the runes, the Nordic runes, Ingwas, the seed, also golds, planting creativity, that idea of creating something from nothing. So as we're talking about what it is we're releasing and the concept of consistency, as I see it, the major theme here is to start. Just start. We don't know where things are going. Maybe we're having difficulty understanding what it is we need to get rid of here. So just plant a seed. Just start. Do one thing. Let's clean out one drawer. Just pick up one thing maybe and let that go. And then see where that brings us. Our second letter here in the center, which corresponds to that which is a challenge, is the letter Tav. And I can see that in a certain type of person can be really challenging. Tav is the final letter. It's about how will things end. It's the letter that speaks to being finished with a thing. It's the last letter of the alphabet, so things coming to an end. And for a certain set of people, it's very challenging to see the way, all the way through something that we don't want to start because we don't know how it's going to end. And when we're talking about what needs to be cleared out of our life right now, what is it we're releasing? The fear or the challenge in the situation is, well, I don't know how it's going to end, so I don't want to start. But that's the point of consistency, is if we just start with one thing and then persist through the situation, we will come to the end, and we don't have to fear what the end looks like. The letter Tav is also, because it's about finality, it also speaks to judgment and the idea that we will be judged, or that we're having to discern. We're having to discern what to keep and what to let go. And that's really hard. It's really hard sometimes to discern and to be able to judge appropriately whether something's valuable or not. And so there's a fear there. There's a challenge there. And I get that. The Tav corresponds to the moon in the sky. It is that which rules over the moon in the sky. And so it's about mystery and the unknown. I see Tav as actually being connected to or affiliated with the moon card in tarot. And so we don't have maybe that unconsciousness, that shadow. We don't really know how things are going to turn out. Maybe things are veiled a little bit right now. And so that's difficult. That's challenging for a certain subset of the people who are trying to discern what they need to release right now. And I see Tav as also corresponding to the Nordic rune of Iwaz. Iwaz, which means endurance and balance and enlightenment, really, and the world tree itself. And so that's really perfect with consistency here, that Tav is about that endurance and coming through, really, really sticking things through to the end. So although we've got this challenge of being able to see how things are going to turn out, it's important, again, just to start with one thing and stay consistent throughout it. And our final letter in our reading today, that which is the outcome given the current circumstances, is the letter Gimel. And Gimel is the letter that means a foot or a camel. So it's about movement forward. It is the letter that means running forward or walking forward toward justice. It is being able to discern again. It's about the binary transformation of peace and evil. That gift that we were given in the garden of being able to discern what is right and what is wrong. So we will come to that discernment, that it is the outcome of being able to discern in the end, even though there's a fear about judgment here, and if maybe difficulties just starting out. But we have the ability to walk forward into a place of peace and wholeness, because we will be able to discern in the end. I see the Gimel as corresponding to the Chariot card in Tarot. So running forward, just racing forward. When we finally get started, things will become more easy. Things will be able to move again. And similarly in the Nordic runes, corresponding to the Nordic rune Ryddo, which means journey, ride, progress, and finding the right way. The Gimel rules over Jupiter in the sky. Jupiter, the planet, which in Hebrew is translated tzedek, which means justice. So justice will prevail in the final run here as we start with our seed, and even though we have a challenge perhaps about seeing our way to the end, consistency is necessary. We need to be sustainable as, I love this, so find supportive rituals, find ways to get through this releasing period of time. And in the end, with the persistence, we will come to a place of moving forward, being able to discern, and justice, coming to not judgment, but justice. And I love that here. And as a final clarification of this reading, I'm going to pull out one of the Nordic runes as well, just as a sort of an exclamation point on our reading today. And we have the rune Fehu. And Fehu is about wealth, and it's about worth. In the final run, when we come through, we are going to find our wealth and our worth in the situation, so that we're not just carrying around a lot of stuff, but in fact carrying around that which is valuable to us. And success, abundance on some level, when we clean out some things that are unnecessary, it makes room for an increase in abundance and happiness and even financial gain. So maybe as we're figuring out a way to release what we need to release, we're just really making space for more abundance in our life, more wealth and worth, and just feeling more worthy, not having to carry so much as we move forward in this time. So for those of you who chose consistency here today, this has been your reading. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will hopefully see you here in the future. If you would like to know more about the Hebrunes, please do check out my link in the description box below, and we'll see you here next time. Hello, card number 3, those of you who chose the card Harvest. It says, prep soil for optimal growth, Your crop is ready for harvest. Don't let it die on the vine. It may be time to call it done. Harvest. So that's a lovely idea or concept for this idea of what are we letting go right now? What is it we're trying to release in our life? And it may be time to let some things go. It seems to be saying it's time to harvest. So we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes today, lay them down and do a reading, and we'll see what some clarification is on this idea of harvest for you. At the top, we have the letter Gimel. In the center, we have the letter Resh. And on the bottom, we have the letter Nun. Okay. So the way I read these is the top letter is our current situation, the center is our challenge or fear, and on the bottom is our outcome given the current circumstances. At the top, we have the letter Gimel, and the letter Gimel is a foot or a camel. It's about walking forward. It's about forward movement. So whatever's going on right now with regards to release is you're trying to walk. Maybe you're trying to walk away from a situation, even something that hasn't been serving you. The Gimel is the letter that rules over Jupiter in the sky, and the planet Jupiter is called Tzedek in Hebrew, which is the word that means justice. So there's something about walking toward justice, maybe walking away from injustice, something that has not been serving you. It's about harmony. It's about finding your way in the world. It's the number 3, so it balances things like the 3 creation elements of fire, water, and air. It is the binary foundation of wholeness and wickedness. So trying to find our balance there. Where do we land on that continuum from wholeness or peace to wickedness or evil? And how can we find our way forward in that mess? It is the letter that I see as corresponding to the Chariot card in Tarot, so about forward movement. You're the vehicle that is moving you forward. And also the Nordic rune Rido, which means ride, journey, or progress, finding the right way. So that seems to be the situation here. You're finding the right way. You're trying to find your way forward. And our second letter in the reading is what's our challenge or fear in our situation. And we have the letter Resh. And Resh is the letter that means Roche, which means head. So it's about a beginning of a thing. And so we have something new that's happening, and maybe that's challenging. Resh also can mean, wickedness. Rocha, which means wickedness, which is interesting in terms of the Gimel meaning that binary or that transformation between peace and evil or wholeness and wickedness. So our challenge here is to be aware of wickedness, being aware that something is beginning, but there may be some difficulty there. There may be something that isn't quite right with it. It is also the word Rosh, which means a poor one, somebody who is impoverished. So I don't know exactly. Something is challenging. Something is causing fear about a new beginning. Something that is causing fear about potential evil or wickedness or some kind of impoverishment. It does rule over the planet Mercury in the sky, so maybe there's some communication that's challenging right now. Mercury is the planet that rules over communication. So maybe there's some kind of communication issue that isn't sitting right now, and there's some fear around communicating. I see Resh as affiliated with the Tower in the Tarot. So there's some sudden destruction and chaos, maybe some chaos due to wickedness that's happened. But also at the same time, it is the letter that corresponds with the Nordic rune of Berkana, which means birth and metamorphosis, maybe some sort of healing or regeneration. So it can be all of those things, that there's been something that's been destructive, that there is this new beginning that is rising up out of the rubble, that there's been something that's been maybe barren. This is this binary foundation of seed and barrenness. Whew, that seems important. That there's been some seeds that have been planted and we're not sure whether they're going to bear fruit or not. So this binary foundation of seed and barrenness, how is it that we can move forward not being sure whether things are going to come to fruition? And that's a valid concern. That's a challenge for sure. That maybe we've had a tower moment and we're a little afraid to step forward into whatever's coming next. But because we have the harvest card here, it says that we have to prepare our soil for growth. That we've got to harvest in order to not let things die on the vine. I love that my chime went off right there, and at the same time I dropped that as well, that there's something really important about trusting, that even though we're not sure what's happening and that we've got some fear around planting something new, it's time to prepare the soil, plant the seed, and trust that things will move forward in the way they need to move forward. And when they do, our outcome here is the letter Nun. And the letter Nun, it's often seen as humility or humbleness, but I'm seeing it as Nes. Nes meaning miracle. As you can see, it's the letter Nun. It can mean Aman, which is humility, but it can also mean a miracle. Something miraculous is happening here. There's some kind of freedom that's coming. It's the number 50 in Gematria, so it can speak to the Jubilee year where we are freed, that all slaves are freed, that everything is returned to its original owner. And so I'm seeing the Nun in this position as an outcome of guiding the way, an outcome of freedom, an outcome of miraculousness, that our needs will be met here. It is the letter that I see corresponding to the Nordic rune of Nauthies, which means need. And so our needs being met, that somehow through this, when we step forward, even though we're afraid of a new beginning, that somehow things will come to harvest and that our needs will be met here. I'm hoping that that resonates for you. And I'm going to pull out one Nordic rune today as well, just to give us a little further clarity on this and find out what the harvest is bringing us as we learn to release that which we need to release. And the letter, oh interesting, is Gebo. Gebo is the letter that means an exchange, a gift. Some gift is coming. And it's generally an exchange between two people, that we are being given something and we are giving something in return. There will be a connection, sort of this crossroads of giving and receiving that's coming up. So there's a harvest here, and we have this gift. Gebo speaks to sharing, hospitality, blessings and exchange, generosity in personal relationships. So as you're walking away from whatever your situation is, that may have been uncomfortable or untenable, that we're prepping our soil for growth, that it's time to plant that seed and trust that it will come to harvest, not to let it die on the vine, and that perhaps it's time to call it done, that we will have our needs met in the long run, and that there will be this concept of gift, exchange, and generosity coming in the future. So for those of you who chose the harvest card here today, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about the Hebrunes, please follow the link in the box below and leave a comment if you'd like to. I wish you a beautiful day, and I hope to see you here next time.